All right, now I never seen this before. A computer saying that we were being recording, nice.
It's Zoom recording, yes.
New. All right, so good evening, everyone. Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. It's time, so let's start our study. And I will ask you to close your eyes because we're going to do our initial pray. Okay, so close your eyes, deep breath. Try to sit comfortably in your chair, sofa. And let's elevate our thoughts to the Creator, God, to our big brother, Jesus Christ. All the good spirits that come every Tuesday, the ones that coordinated this study in the spirit world, the ones that come to study with us and learn with us, the ones that enlighten our heart, our mind, protect us. Let's be grateful for the opportunity to be here together one more Tuesday. Let's embrace in this moment to learn, to enhance our heart to the sublime world, to put love in our minds, to bring this light that it comes to the enlightened spirits, to our house, to the place that we are right now. And always send the good vibrations, the good thoughts, the good energy for everybody in this world, to our family, friends, neighbors, to the people that we don't know. The ones that is going to a hard path right now, doesn't matter what it is, God knows each heart. So let's try to be a good energy and light to send to everyone in this moment. And humbly, I ask the permission to start our study tonight, and so be it. Amen. Okay, let's first open the slide over here. Just a second, and then I will share the, there we go. I will share my screen a second. Okay, can you open, please? Oh, there you go. It's opening. And I would like to open the gospel as well here on the internet so I can share both in case you need to consultate something, to do any consult or something. Let's try here. Okay. Over here, the gospel, the introduction. My internet's a little bit slow. That's why I'm taking a while. Okay. There we go. Opening there. Okay, what happened? There we go. All right, let's open the slide again and share the page. Okay, are you guys can see? Just let me know if you guys can see the slide over here.
Yes, we can see the slides. Also, look at the chat. There's a Portuguese message.
There's a Portuguese message. Let me see here. Okay. Let me, nope, again. Here we go. More chat. Okay, I'm going to speak in Portuguese, okay, Mark?
No problem.
One understand. So, oi, Edson, tudo bem? Então, aqui às 5h30 é um estudo em inglês, tá? Então, às 7 da noite, o horário aqui, né, Pacific Time, vai ser o estudo em português. Se você achar melhor, você pode participar, mas você é muito bem-vinda aqui também, tá bom? Fique à vontade. Até mais. Se tiver alguma pergunta, pode mandar aqui que eu respondo.
Tá bom, obrigado, viu? Vou ver se eu consigo acompanhar.
Tá ótimo. Okay, so Mark, he said he understands a little bit English, but he said he's gonna try to follow us. But I told him at 7 p.m. you have it Portuguese, but he's more than welcome to be here. All right. Today we are going to study the gospel, and we are still in an introduction. We just came back to study the whole thing again, and you are going to talking about Socrates and Plato, the precursors of the Christian's idea and the Spiritism, the ones that it came before Christ. It's very interesting, this part, because Kardec had this amazing idea with the spirits, for sure, to put this study, this introduction, in order to us to understand that nothing happens just because, even idea. And to understand that spirit world, the spirits, that Jesus teachings was not something that came just with Jesus. Jesus sent other peoples to earth before him to spread the good news. And for us as human beings, and we still in this process of growing in the matter of self-enlightenment, moral, technology, and so on, certain ideas, when come to us as a new way to see things, we do not observe at the moment. It takes time. And that's why those ideas were carefully implemented to this world in different times of the history. And that's what you're going to see today, okay? So here we go. Let me see what is the next here, because I want to see, okay. As I said, great ideas never had appeared suddenly. Those founded and through always bad their predecessors who partially prepared the path. And they give an example of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, because there were thinkers, there were philosophers, there were scientists, there were human beings that came to this earth. And I can say, and I can tell with no doubt that they were enlightened spirits already came from other planets. They came to the earth with one purpose: to spread new ideas, good ideas, ideas of being a better person. Material things is not the only things that we see. It's much more beyond our physical vision, our behaviors, and so on. So this chapter, they have they introduce here, Kardec shows us so many examples. I think it's 21 teachings from Socrates, and that it's pretty similar are the ones that Jesus taught us, but he came before Jesus. So let me open the gospel here. I want to read this part. Okay. Socrates and Plato, the foreigners of the Christian's idea in the Spiritism. From the mere fact that Jesus knew the sins, it's erroneous to conclude that his doctrine, the Jesus doctrine, was derived from the sect, and that if he had lived in another environment, he would have professed other principles, which means some people believe that Jesus had the ideas that he had because he was part of the group back in time. It calls a scene was a group that had those ideas of love each other, give, no materialistic things. But the Spirit says great ideas have never appeared suddenly. Those founded in truth have always been their predecessors who partially prepared the path, which means in order to a society to change the whole culture, it doesn't happen in one day, in 1 year, in 100 years. It takes time. It takes time. God sends a man who has the mission of resuming, ordinating, and completing those scattered elements and uniting them into doctrine. In this way, when the idea arrives, it finds spirits disposed to accept it, which means when we as human beings in this earth are ready to accept certain things, some spirits came, incarnated, and spread those ideas. This also happened to the Christian idea, which prognosticated many centuries previously before either Christ or the saints, having had Socrates and Plato as principal predecessors. And then, so on, you're going to see that Socrates and Plato was the ones, I mean, Socrates and Plato's, just wrote about Socrates' teachings. And we can see many similar ideas, which Jesus later on came to teach us. Back in here. Socrates, like Christ, did not leave any writings. So his disciple Plato wrote down his ideas. That's why we have the chance to know what Socrates did as human being deserved, because Plato wrote all the ideas. And this part, I would like to come back to the gospel as well. This part, it says here, like Christ, Socrates, he also suffered the death of a criminal, victim of fanaticism, because he had dared to attack existing beliefs and for having put virtue above hypocrisy and the image of form, in other words, for having combated religion's prejudice, which means he could see that the way that humanity back then was walking the path, he didn't agree with most of the ideas, because as in Jesus' time, everyone that confront ideas, materialistic ideas, which can dominate a society, as in a matter of you have to believe in this, you have to follow this, otherwise you're going to be excluded of the society, you're going to be killed. And that's the way it is, because who has power make the rules. Socrates back then, before Jesus, understood that something's wrong there. That's not the way society must to live. Society, as human beings, we have our free will. We can, and we must decide what is good for us. If you not do anything against others, I mean, the better way, why don't you study more? Why don't see others as your brothers and sisters? Why don't grow as society together? And it says here, where is it? Weird hypocrisy and other words for have combat. In the same manner as Jesus, who the Pharisees accused of corrupting the people by his teachings, Socrates was also accused by the Pharisees of his time, seeing that they have always existed in all epochs for proclaiming the dogma of the unite God. Look what interesting. Socrates proclaimed the same idea before Jesus, unite of God, the immortality of the soul and the future life. And what is amused me when I saw this is in books. They are in books, enough from religions, from history, from the scientists that study history, and they wrote down there with all the documents along the the centuries that they have studying, proving that Socrates was a guy that believed in immortality of the soul and future life even before Christ. Just as the doctrine of Jesus became known only through the writings of his disciples, because Jesus didn't write anything down. So the doctrine of Socrates became known through his disciple Plato, as we saw here. Let's come back here. And so far we understand that Socrates was attacked. Why? Because the expression that he used right now, think out of the box, not think like everyone else, to be more clear. That's what Socrates did. He was thinking out of the box. He want to see something. Actually, he could saw something that most of the people back then was not seeing. And if they saw something, they didn't have the courage to speak out and loud. And Socrates did, but he suffered the consequence, as Jesus did as well. And he fought against religion's bias and said he said real virtue above the hypocrisy of forms. And as the Christ, an idea as well, was perceived many centuries before Jesus and the saints, and its main precursors were Socrates and Plato. In the future, or if you had the chance to study other books, some books brought from the spirits through, the medium's hands, it says that all those spirits, well known from their good behaviors and ideas, like Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, Socrates, Plato, all those names that you can think right now that it came to change human beings' perceptions, they were sent by Jesus. It's a group part of Jesus' team, let's say. They play the Jesus team. And Jesus sent all those spirits before him and after him to continue to spread those ideas of love, of being a better person, love each other as you love yourself, and so on, charity and those kind of things, and teaching us about the material world and the spiritual world. And those situations has nothing to do with religions, because those people incarnate in different part of the globe and in different religions as well, with the same idea, with the same goal. And the ideas proclaimed by Socrates, the unite of God that I just mentioned, the immortality of the soul, the future existence, those ideas are in agreement with the principle of Christianism and Spiritism, which came, way after. And then some some points of Socrates and Plato's doctrine. Before starting seeing the examples of like Socrates and Plato doctrine, I want to come back here again. And remember that because of those reasons, for those reasons, Jesus, Socrates, I mean, we're talking about Socrates and Plato right now, because of they want to change people's vision of the world. For those reasons, we judge it appropriate to offer a brief summary of the most prominent points of Socrates' teachings in order to show the concordance with Christian's principle, which the gospel says here. But has an important point here. It says, to those who consider this parallel of profanity, claim there can be no similarity between pagan doctrine and that of Christ, we would say that the teachings of Socrates were not pagan because they objectively combated paganism, as to the teachings of Jesus, which are more complete and pure, for sure, by fact. They have nothing to lose by this comparison, as it's impossible to diminish the greatness of Christ's divine mission, and that for the rest, we are dealing with historical fact, which no one can obliterate, which means some people could say, that's crazy. What are you guys talking about? You guys want to compare somebody like Socrates as Jesus, like Jesus? They're not comparing anything here. They were given examples that when Jesus came to spread the gospel, the new ideas of society was nothing new for this world, nothing new. Of course, according to the spirits, the enlightened spirits, Jesus Christ was the most enlightened spirit that has incarnated in this world. He's the one that changes everything. The way that we do things nowadays changed because of Jesus. However, has nothing to do with religions, because if you study the history, Jesus Christ did not, that's, you guys can search everywhere, did not founded any religions, any dogmatic religion, nothing. Jesus was a guy that came here to teach values that we still learning. We don't have completely still, we're still learning. However, there's nothing to do with religions, as Socrates has nothing to do with religions. When we studied Socrates, we studied philosophy most of the time. But to see the similarity of the ideas, there is nothing new. And if you're thinking about it in a way that you're going to question those facts, it's so clear that we still trying to understand and much more to be that type of person that respect each other, love each other, care for each other. And we are talking about it here, things for more than 2,000 years ago, or even more than that, okay? So continue here. So for you guys see that has similarly on what Socrates said. Socrates had the idea that men are incarnated souls. Before the incarnation, the soul already existed and was associated to ideas of true, good, and beautiful. Can you imagine? At Socrates' time, he came in public and says such a thing. Like, everybody was like, what this guy wanna do? What he's talking about incarnation. Of course, incarnation was just the name that we put here right now, was not that name, okay? Next idea. Since the soul is immortal, look the question, wouldn't it be prudent to live aiming at eternity? So Socrates put the idea that we are immortal as spirits. So we can live as no tomorrow, there is no tomorrow. We have to think about it in our future, not in the future in the earth, but the eternity, because what we do here, there is going to be consequence. Another idea of Socrates. If the soul is immaterial, it has to go to a world equally invisible and immaterial in the afterlife. The first time that I studied this, and I did my research, and yes, Plato wrote down these ideas from Socrates. And in 2021, we still having people that only believe because they want in materialistic. There's nothing above or beyond this, and that's it. And if you compare of an idea from a guy, 3,000 years ago, can you imagine that? He came already saying those things. That's not new. When some people say like, that's ridiculous, because they don't want to study or they don't care about the study, it's okay. But to say that is ridiculous, look, we study at school those ideas. I mean, not those ideas, but Socrates and Plato. And they came with this concept already. That's not new. Another concept, we should never reciprocate injustice with another injustice, nor cause anybody any harm, no matter the damage that was caused to us. That definitely was the craziest thing, because even in Jesus' time, when Jesus said, everybody from the God eyes, on the God eyes, we are equally. And they start laughing at Jesus' face like, no, you are not. They are slaves. There are people that have money, and that's it. We are not equally. Because they couldn't see, through the material things. And Socrates here already had the same beliefs. Why? We can't cause harm, neither for us or to others. Because the consequence of that would be not the good ones, because we are immortal as spirits. Wealth is a great danger. No man who loves wealth loves himself. When he said the wealth here, he said the ones that only use the money, the position, the material things to do harms to others, to not respect others. And we're still doing the same thing. It's a natural disposition of humankind to perceive other people's drawbacks instead of their own. When I read this, I was like, we're still doing the same thing. We're still doing the same thing. We didn't change much if you're thinking about moral. Technology, yes, we did. Of course, we changed. Yes, we did as humans, we changed a little bit, but most of us are still doing the same. We point fingers and we don't look ourselves in the mirror. And Socrates, before Christ, said the same thing. In a society totally different than where we live right now. Totally different. There is not like the same society back then, but we're still doing the same mistakes. All men since childhood do more evil than good. Yes, we do. We've put in accountability what we have done. we do, and the evil that he says here, I mean, I believe that back then, murders, those kind of things was much more natural than right now. But as judgments, bad thoughts, point fingers, lies, and those kind of things we still do it in our life, in a whole life. Self-awareness. Be prudent and do not pretend to know what you don't. Self-awareness, it's something that this is one of the principles of Jesus' teachings, know yourself. Then you were going to be free. But that's really deep if you get in this conversation, because knowing ourselves, it's put our pride and our ego on the side and be honest to ourselves, not to others. Because most of the time what others see about us, I can say half of that's not true, because we know what is the true means inside of us, but we still not having the courage to face our bad behaviors, bad thoughts, and be humble enough to understand and agree that we don't know everything. We don't know everything. Actually, what we know, it's compared to the real knowledge, the real truth is nothing. That's why Socrates said, be prudent and do not pretend to know what you don't. So this is self-awareness that most of us, you don't have. And it says about the history about Socrates' death, because he stood from his principles. Socrates, just as Jesus, was condemned to die like a criminal. They forced him to drink hemlock. He was a victim of the existing fanaticism. I don't believe that nowadays would have such a thing in terms of condemn somebody because of their beliefs and condemn to die. So yes, I believe there were going to be people against certain ideas, even people that want to kill those people that have a certain idea that differs to the most of us. But what caught my attention here is he stood for his principles, no matter what happened. That's what I believe. And when you believe in something that's bringing you the truth, the peace in your spirit and your mind, it doesn't matter what others are going to talk about you, or think about you, or do to you, because the truth is not going to change. And I believe that's my opinion, my own opinion. That's right now my own opinion, not from the book. I believe Socrates just could go through what he went through because he knew about the immortality of the soul. He knew that he had a mission, and he knew that in order to bring people the new vision, a new way to live, he had to sacrifice himself. I'm not compared to the sacrifice that Jesus did. It was different, because probably Socrates didn't know what he went through, but Jesus knew it. But both of them and much other people from science, Galileo Galilei, that came and said, yes, about the earth is a circle, is a sphere, all those kind of ideas. And they said, you better come to the public and say different, otherwise you're going to die. He could say differently, but he knew deep inside of his mind that it was not. So those kind of people, when they came to change something, yes, they had to suffer the consequences, but they were prepared. And the gospel here says, let's see, that's all the concept. Let's see. here. Okay, that's the last part here. It's interesting. This is how spiritists should proceed in relation to those who contradict, whether in good or bad faith. If Plato were to come alive today, he would find things almost as they were in his time, and he would be able to use the same words. Socrates would also meet creatures who would jeer at his beliefs and spirits and would believe him to be mad. Together with his disciple Plato, it was for having professed those principles that Socrates saw himself ridiculed, accused of impiety, and condemned to drink hemlock. So, surely by reasons of this controversy stirring up many prejudices and strike against many prejudices, those great new truths will not be accepted without a fight, nor without make martyrs. So that's our reality. Certain ideas, and if those missionary spirits, when they come to teaching us certain ideas that came with them from, other lives, other planets, in order to make Earth grow as not just intellectuality that's important, but moral, of course, will be people standing against those ideas. And the sad part is most of the people stand against new ideas like that. Yeah, I think that's it. That part is just what I read in the gospel right now. This part is so important. Why? Because we need to understand, or maybe we already understood because we are here right now, that new ideas, new concepts, we're still learning and try to accept. But facts and truth will not change because we don't believe or agree with that. I believe and I hope in nowadays when new ideas come to us in order to make us better, we can accept better than back in times, because if you're thinking about it, we are the same spirits and we were there against those ideas. That's why we're here right now. Because if we're not against those ideas and starting, living those teachings, probably would not be here right now. Or at least not in this position right now. Could be in better positions, in the position of helping more than, struggling, trying to understand those ideas. But since we're immortal and you have the eternity, yes, we're going to have so many other chances to come back and learn. And not just learn, but living those teachings. Right, Mark?
Very good presentation. Very good cautions about what to do, what not to do. And very easy to understand too, so thank you.
When I studied, the first time that I did this study, and that's the nice of coming back and study again, because we're gonna rise new ideas in our minds about how important is to understand this.
Well, the first time through the introduction, there was I don't recall any focus on Socrates and Plato. So it's very refreshing for me to get that tonight. But, the other aspect of this is the research you did into Socrates and his minion. and And what they were openly saying at the time, which I had thought their philosophy and their writings and their messages really didn't come out until they were much later in life. I didn't realize they were coming out at an earlier age, and therefore they were subject to ridicule and, being ostracized and so on. So,
well, if you're thinking about it, we are learning from the past, great ideas, great concept, society concept, human beings concept, and nowadays, and we were trying to apply this to our lives and nowadays. And what caught more my attention is to understand that we were far away to live those concepts that were proclaimed more than 2,000 years ago. As society in general, I'm pretty sure there's some people out there are ready to live those concepts. But most of us as society, we're not.
No, we are lazy and comfortable, and fighting for change or being part of change is not what we desire as humans. We want to keep things the same way they are.
I was talking to my mom, and my mom was she was reading the 2,000 years ago, the book that talk about Emmanuel, when he was Publio Lentulus. And I told her, Mom, did you realize that Publio Lentulus 2,000 years ago had the chance to meet Jesus personally, talk to him, understand his concept? He's avoided, suffered, but he became Emmanuel. And if I compare Emmanuel with myself, what I became in 2,000 years? Swelling. Not much. So everybody has the chance to grow, but ones decide to go fast, others not that much, which is my case. Probably back there I decided to no, I'm not going that fast. Let me stuck here and do bad things. And now I'm having another opportunity to be here, study, understand, and maybe starting to implement this, because those concepts, they were not new. You have to understand that we as a spirit, we are not new.
Oh, absolutely.
We came back and forth a lot.
Yeah, we're just a little progress challenged. We tend to take things very slowly in our evolution.
Oh yeah. So, yes, let me talk to Portuguese. Edson, se você quiser falar alguma coisa, pode falar em português mesmo. Mark, he's not gonna be mad if you talk in Portuguese.
Não, tudo bem, tá bom. Tô acompanhando aqui, obrigado, viu? Qualquer coisa eu abro o microfone.
Tá bom. Aqui nos nossos estudos, nas terças-feiras, né? E eu das 7 da noite também, é mais um estudo assim, a gente estuda e depois comenta, né? Então, fica à vontade, fazer alguma pergunta, algum comentário, tá? Fica à vontade. I'm saying to him that to be, feel free to ask, to talk, because we're studying here, studying together.
His name is?
Edson.
Edson. Very good. Good to have you.
Edson. Yes. Okay. And why this studying is in the beginning of the gospel? Because we need to understand that this concept is not new. There are so many people before and after Jesus. Jesus is the main point, to be, clear. Because some people think, oh, you're going to compare to everybody else. No, Jesus is the main point. But there's another good people that came to earth to sacrifice their life in order to us to understand certain concepts, certain ideas of how to be a better human being. I was talking about it to a friend, talking about not spiritism, but spirituality. When you're open, it doesn't matter the religion or no religion, but normally people that have religions are one step ahead, because I already believe in God or Jesus, but you be open to new concepts. Even those one that we think is absurd. I mean, back then, thinking about that we are all equal was absurd.
Well, we have the blessing of, in our lifetime, technology exposing to us a huge spectrum of thoughts and ideas and activities and so on. And society determines what's normal, what's good, what's abnormal, what's bad, and so on. And again, this is kind of where I kind of chuckle and say, well, the human race sure does progress slowly because, thousands and thousands of years later, we're still trying to figure out the basics.
Exactly, Mark. You said everything, the basics.
The basics. Like, don't kill each other. Don't hurt each other.
Yeah. That's the basics. And you guys still do it.
Yeah.
And societies evolve enough to condemn you guys if you guys do something bad to other and put you in prison, in jail, but you guys are still doing the same thing, doing the same mistakes over and over and over. But yes, we're already getting a point that there is no more options.
Well, I make the comment about the generations alive today have the technology that presents to them this entire spectrum. So new ideas are more readily accepted because they're just like all the other ideas.
Right.
We still come through some type of analysis to determine if that idea is for us. So when it comes to a spiritual topic, people are not necessarily inclined to respond as they did 20, 30 years ago, where they'd say, no, I'm Catholic, shut up, I don't want to hear it, I'm going to do things my way until I die, and you don't hear that anymore.
Right.
They're very aware of and open to alternative thoughts.
It's true. And as the technology, advanced technology that we have right now, I can say, compared to 30 years ago, as you said, the information goes like,
oh gosh,
spread fast. And if you talk to a kid of 5 years old right now and talk about a certain concepts that we're still trying to accept, probably they were accepted already.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have no fears, no built-in experiences or learnings that create an alternative viewpoint. They hear something new. Oh, okay.
They are kind of spirits that came prepared already.
Yeah.
To change so many concepts.
Yeah.
Which is good. Okay, I think that's it for today. If no more add-ons, I think you can just do our final pray. So Mark,
sure.
Would do our final pray, please?
Sure. Close your eyes and take a nice, slow, deep breath. Digesting all of tonight's learnings and information, discussion. and just letting it flow through us. We are so appreciative that God has given us this opportunity tonight. We thank the presence of all the spirits, the mentors, and Jesus for being the model and the basis for all the teachings. We ask that we continue to process this information, digest it fully, and if possible, put it into practice in our daily lives. Because that is the true essence of Jesus' teachings. And we humbly request permission to close tonight's session. And so be it.
There you go. Now you guys can hear me. So thank you so much, Mark. Thank you, Edson. Thank you so much. And I see you guys next Tuesday.
Obrigado, Edson.
Obrigado, Edson.
Obrigado, meus amigos. Boa noite.
Boa noite.
Gostei da palestra, viu? Obrigado.
Se você tiver oportunidade, Edson, participa daqui 2 horinhas, às das 7.
Eu vou lá escutar sim. Obrigado, viu?
Obrigada.
Deus abençoe vocês aí. Tchau, tchau.
Boa noite. Thank you, Mark. Have a good night. See you next
week. Yes. Good night. Have a good week.
You too. Thank you. Bye.